Hello there, avid readers. Thanks again for tuning into Sin's Workshop. So today we're going to be talking about Nemesis and the Swan by Lindsay K, Brandy, published by Blackstone Publishing. I have to say I was pleasantly surprised by this novel. When I first started it, I wasn't really that engaged. I read the first chapter, and I wasn't really sure how the story was going to play out. I was drawn to it initially because, I am fascinated with the French Revolution, so I thought it was really interesting how the reader really got to see the French Revolution kind of play out, and I thought that was really well done. I really do think this story was well executed, and I really ended up liking it. When I first started reading it, I thought, I'm just going to give this book 3 stars, because, it's okay. It's not bad, but it doesn't really draw me. But when I finished it, I decided, I'm going to give this novel 4 stars. The whole reason being is, this is one of those novels that it's more character-driven than anything. It's really a self-discovery story. There's not a lot of action, adventure. It is historical fiction, and it is a character-driven novel. It's all about Hélène and her journey, and I think that that's what really sells the novel, because the novel opens up, she's walking home, she gets arrested. You're kind of wondering why was she arrested? Is she a spy? So the novel goes back and forth. Every chapter opens up with her in prison. She's trying, and then you go back in time. It's a very linear journey for her. I think it's very cohesive. I was looking at some reviews online, and unfortunately, not a lot of people understood these time differences, which on one hand, I guess I can understand that, but on the other hand, I thought it moved really well. As you can see, I am joined by my son today. He's in his crib playing with all his stuffed animals. Hi, Dante. You want to say hi? Nope. He is looking at me like I'm crazy, but that's okay. Anyway. I thought the journey was very linear. It opens up, she's arrested, and then every chapter opens up with her in prison. It's usually just like a couple paragraphs, and then it goes into the past, and there's a date. So you're following her in her journey up until the point where she gets arrested, and then from there it's a straight linear path. There's no back and forth anymore. But as far as the past story went, as you're introduced into the past, it moved in a linear fashion, and it was really fluid. It did provide the reader a cohesive and thoughtful look at Hélène as a character. She's part of the aristocrats. She's part of the hierarchy. She is the daughter of a marquis, so she's one of those people who you can kind of understand why she is in prison. This is the French Revolution, and a lot of people, most of the people who lost their heads were royalists, or part of the royalists or royalist spies. So you're kind of wondering, is she that person? But it's actually quite the opposite, and she understands this need for change. She wants to be a part of this change, but her life is also in danger, because how often are you going to trust the 1% when they say they want to help you? Especially in such a turbulent time as the French Revolution, you could really only trust other people that were like you, who understood. But Hélène is apart from that. She sees what needs to change. She honors that. She respects it. And she goes with it. Her and her family, they're on the run. They escape. But she's engaged to a jeweler. you know, someone her family would never approve of in a million years. And so she just needs to find him. She needs to make sure he's okay, you know. Her safety aside, she runs away from home, a home filled with so many secrets that kind of leave her also questioning her identity and her upbringing. And then she leaves, you know, she leaves everything she's ever known behind to go alone on this journey to look for an aunt she never knew she had, to look for a fiance who she doesn't know is alive or dead. And, you know, she's met with a lot of conflict. She's met with a lot of tension. And I think it's really compelling to see her journey unfold and to see who she is, because she's trying to reconcile what she wants with how she was raised. You know, there is this sort of wall, this barrier between her and this new France. So I think it's ultimately, you know, I do think it was a really good story. I thought it was a really engaging story, and it just it lures the reader in. Like I said, you know, when I first started, I didn't know how I was going to feel about this novel. You know, I had always said in my mind, like, oh, this is just going to be an okay novel, with how it opened. But as the story evolved, you know, you kind of become invested in Helene's journey and her progression and her little quest for the truth as she tries to figure out, who is her mother? You know, is it the woman who's always raised her, or is this other person? Who is she as a person? She wants to know her past so that she can sort of define her future. And I think that's really relatable to readers, because we're all just trying to figure out who we are as people, and sometimes it doesn't always go hand in hand with how we were raised, or our beliefs. And I think on that note, you know, the reader is going to be able to connect to Hélène as a person. And I love the development of the French Revolution all around her. Like, you're seeing it. You're seeing this spark of revolution. You're seeing how it also sort of inspires Hélène. But you're also seeing, you know, is all this violence necessary? You know, there's this question of, you know, you want change. How do you go about making change? And I think that's also really important for today's era. You know, we're all trying to inspire change, equality, respect, and this novel kind of evaluates how they addressed change in the past. You know, really in the past, it's hard to see how they could have done the French Revolution without all the violence, you know, because the rich had the power, they had the means. So it took a while for, I think, everyone to realize we outnumber them. Even today, you know, I think that's something we all have to acknowledge. The 99% outnumber the 1%. If we wanted to storm the Bastille again, we could probably do it, hands down, quite easily, with very few lives lost. And I think that's something to think about. So, you know, it's a really thoughtful novel. It does make the reader think. It does make the reader think about revolution, about change, about the right ways to inspire change and the wrong ways to inspire change. And I think Brandy did a wonderful job with highlighting everything about the French Revolution, you know, not just, oh yeah, the revolution, but, you know, like a lot of innocent people lost their heads because they were rich, and, you know, they didn't do anything. Some of them were probably like Hélène, who wanted change as well, who saw that there were a lot of people that were mistreated. But again, you know, like, their silence made them as guilty as the people who were cruel and ruthless and didn't really care about the people. For the record, Marie Antoinette did not really say let them eat cake. That's just propaganda. But in any case, you know, I mean, it really shows the revolution in a lot of dimension and a lot of light, and I think that's really engaging in the story, because you're seeing it through Helen's eyes. You're seeing it through this innocent person who's part of the 1%, who is very forward thinking. She's very intuitive. She's very much for the people, but she's seeing this revolution through a really open-eyed, open-minded viewpoint. I think it's really engaging for the reader to see that. So, you know, once again, Nemesis and the Swan by Lindsay K. Brandy, I definitely give it 4 stars. It's a young adult historical novel, and if you're interested in stories that are focused more on character, you know, they're more character driven than anything else, you know, this is definitely going to be one for you. And if you're interested in historical fiction or the French Revolution, definitely pick up this novel. I think it's really engaging. And it's a quick read, too. So, once again, Nemesis and the Swan by Lindsay K. Brandy. If you want to purchase the book, please purchase on bookshop.org. A percentage of the proceeds do go to supporting local booksellers. And if money is too tight, please check out the book from your local library. You know, libraries are a great resource, and I think we should all support them. Hope you liked this video. If you do, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And, you know, have a great rest of your day. And as always, happy reading.